Class. Um, Welcome to week 7. I remember that right. This will be a super quick video. I usually shoot for 5 minutes. I don't even know if this one will be 5 minutes. You'll probably let me know by the end of this whether or not it was 5 minutes or less. As I was looking at the chapters, I just love that sound. Every teacher of the gospel loves that sound of, right? But anyways, so it just kind of dawned on me. So I made that quick video last week talking about some of the history behind the Isaiah's time, with the Assyrians coming in and trying to conquer Judah, and Isaiah helping Hezekiah, turn to the Lord and withstand the push from the Assyrians. And I just wanted to point out to you that chapter 17 and 18 is that storyline. So when you're looking at the beginning, and Isaiah is talking about Syria and Ephraim and Judah, it's this idea that the northern kingdom, which was just above Judah at the time, the 10 tribes, was making an agreement with Syria to try to fight the Assyrians. And Judah's like, I don't want a part of that. And that's what 17 is talking about. And I don't want to give you too much detail because the Institute Manual will be a wonderful resource for you again. But I just love the scriptures, and so I just wanted to point out two simple things there in chapter 17, where Isaiah's there prophesying with his son Shear-Jashub, and then the next chapter where he's prophesying again, trying to convince Ahaz at the time, that's down in the king of Judah, Maher-shalal-Hashbaz. Anyways, he uses his two sons to make prophecies. One of them talks about that a remnant shall return, Shear-Jashub, and the other one is that he will hasten the prey, I think. Is that right? Footnote, speed to the spoil, hasten the prey. So isn't it just cool, Isaiah, this prophet, that, the firstborn son and the husband or wife are saying, well, what should we name him? He's like, I think we should name him A Remnant Shall Return. And the wife's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Israel will need the Lord to be on their side, and so I need to prophesy to them, and it's just awesome. So 17 and 18, 19, 20, Isaiah, it's not as hard to understand because he's not jumping around as much. So what he does is he tells you about Assyria, he tells you about Judah, he tells about Israel, and this is a type of what's going to happen in the future. And so you'll see later on when he talks about the destruction of Assyria, and later on the destruction of Babylon, that these are two types. Again, and God's all about witnesses, right? These are two examples of if you're evil, if you're not on the Lord's side, that he might let you do your thing for a little while and use it for his purposes, but in the end you're going to be destroyed. And so when you read about the king of Babylon and the king of Assyria, know that we're talking about Satan. Satan is going to be destroyed. He's going to be laid low, and those that are his followers are going to be stubble. And so it's a great ending. Chapter 22 has the millennial song. And it's just wonderful chapters. And so when you get to chapter 26, 27, here's just the one thing I just wanted to point out to you. So you have all these prophecies of destruction, of sadness, of what happens to bad people, and the recurring theme that it doesn't matter how big or small you are, if you're on God's side, he will protect you. He will provide for you. And what's interesting is the last two chapters this week of all this millennial stuff, of all this future prophecies, of all this second coming and be prepared. What does God give us? Well, there's just this certain book that he just keeps coming up over and over again in these chapters. And so Nephi says, you see Isaiah? You see what he's done? You see what he's talking about? It was fulfilled in his day. He's like, I saw fulfilled in my day. Jerusalem's been destroyed. It's going to happen in your day. And he says, God has given us this book. And I just love Nephi. I just love that Nephi knows what God needs for him to do. Knows the future and says, well, God's commanded me to do a book. I'm going to do a book. And so we praise Nephi. We praise Nephi for his faithfulness. And so as you read the last few chapters, and it's talking about the words of those that have slumbered, you just think to yourself saying, man, how has this book, how has your study these last 6-7 weeks, how has that blessed you, and how's it preparing you for the future? So enjoy this week.